Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our weekly Bhagavad Gita study group at the Bhakti Yoga Institute. We are, this evening, we're going to go through chapter 16, the Devashis Sampad Vibhaga Yoga, the godly and ungodly natures. We'll begin first with the Vandanam. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakkoram Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Mahabharanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvishe Namaha. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vatshalam Pangam Langayate Girim Jat Kripa Tamaham Mande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. So as always, we'll begin by hearing Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj will recite the chapter, and everyone can follow with in their Gitas, and then we can have some discussion.
Uddhaya Devashis Sampad Vibhaga Yoga Sri Bhagavad Vacha Abhayam Sattva Sanshuddhi Jnana Yoga Bhavasthiti Dhanam Damascha Jagascha Sathaya Staparjavam Ahimsa Sattvakrudha Staga Shantirapaisuram Daya Bhute Swadurudam Margavam Sri Hri Rajapalam Teja Khama Dhridi Shaucha Matruha Natimanita Bhavati Sampadana Devi Mabhijata Shabharata Dambhu Darpo Bhimanascha Kodha Parushamevacha Ajnanavicha Vijata Shabharta Sampadamaasuri Devi Sampad Vimokhaya Nibandhaya Srimata Masucha Sampadam Devi Mabhijato Sripad Bhuta Sargo Lokesmin Daiva Asuraevacha Daivota Vistarasa Proktan Asuram Patha Me Srin Pravittincha Nivittincha Janana Vidurasura Na Sauchang Napi Chacharo Na Sattang Teshu Vidyate Asattam Apatishante Jagadahuranishwaram Aparaspara Sambhutam Kimannat Kama Hetukam Etang Dristim Avastadbhya Nastatmanul Pabuddhaya Pravantu Krakarmana Khayaya Jagatu Hita Kamamassit Dushpuram Dambha Mano Madanita Mohad Grihita Sadgrahan Pravartante Shibhrataha Chintama Parimeyancha Pralayanta Mupasritaha Kamo Bhoga Parama Etavad Itinishchita Adhabasa Savedavadha Kama Krodha Parayanaha Ihanti Kama Bhogatam Annayena Sanchayam Idam Mujja Maya Labdham Idam Prapshe Manoratham Idam Asti Damapi Me Bhavishyanti Puradhanam Aso Maya Hata Satru Hanishe Chaparanapi Ishwaroha Mahang Bhogi Siddhohang Balavan Sukhi Adho Vichano Bhanasmi Kodnosti Sadvishu Maya Jakshe Dasyami Modisya Itta Jnana Vimohita Aneka Chitta Vibhranta Mohojala Samavritaha Prasakta Kama Bhogeshu Patanti Narakeshu Cho Atma Sambhavita Stavadha Dhanamana Madalita जजन्ते नाम यज्ञैस्ते दम्भेना विधिपूर्वकम् अहंकारं बलं दर्पं कामं क्रोधं च संश्रिता मामात्मपरदेहेषु प्रद्विषन्तु फसूचका तानहं द्विषतः क्रूरान् संघनेषु नराधमान् क्षिप्तं मजस्रमशुभान् आसुरीष्वेव योनिषु आसुरीं जनिमापन्ना मूढ़ा जन्मनि जन्मनि मामा प्राप्यैव कौन्तेय ततो जान्तधमाङ्गतिं त्रिविधं नरकस्येदं दारं नाशनमात्मनः काम क्रोधस्तथा लोभस्तस्मादेतत्त्रयं त्यजेत् एतैर्विमुक्त कौन्तेय तमप्तारो स्त्रीभिर्नरः आचरत्यात्मनः श्रेयस्ततो जाति पराङ्गतिम् शास्त्र विधिमुत्सृज्य वर्तते कामचारतः न स सिद्धिमवाप्नोति न सुखं न पराङ्गतिम् तस्मात् शास्त्रं प्रमाणन्ते कार्याकार्यव्यवस्थितो ज्ञात्वा शास्त्रविधानोक्तं कर्म कर्तुमिहार्हसि इति श्रीमहाभारते शतसाहस्रां संहितायां वैयासिकां भीष्म पर्वणि श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्म विद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्री कृष्णार्जुन संवादे दैवासुर संपद विभाग योग नाम षोडशोऽध्याय।
The Supreme Lord said, O Bharat, these are the qualities of a person born of a godly nature: fearlessness, gracious-heartedness, absorption in self-knowledge, generosity, sense-control, sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, sincerity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, worldly detachment, tranquility, disinclination to see the faults of others, compassion, freedom from greed, gentleness, modesty, steadfastness, vigor, forgiveness, patience, purity, and freedom from malice and egoism. O Partha, these are the qualities of a person born of an ungodly nature: pride, conceit, egoism, anger, cruelty, and ignorance. The godly qualities have been described as the cause of liberation, and the ungodly qualities have been described as the cause of bondage. O Pandava, do not fear, for you are born of a godly nature. O Partha, in this world, the living beings are of two natures, the godly and the ungodly. I have elaborately described the godly nature to you, so now hear from me about the ungodly. The ungodly cannot distinguish between right and wrong action. No purity, good practices, or truthfulness can be found in them. The persons of ungodly nature say the world is without truth, baseless, godless, and that everything is born of male and female union. They say that life has no purpose beyond lust. Holding such a view, the demons, depraved and of low intelligence, become powerful and engage in cruel, inauspicious acts for the destruction of the world. Giving themselves up to the delusion of insatiable desires for mundane enjoyment, such demons full of vanity, pride, and arrogance engage in grave malpractices. Until death, they remain burdened with endless cares. They think that mundane enjoyment is the goal of life. Bound by hundreds of wishes and overcome with desire and anger, they endeavor to amass wealth unlawfully to fulfill their desires. The ungodly persons say, "Today I got what I wanted. and tomorrow I will also get what I want. All this is my wealth, and I will have even more in the future. I have destroyed one enemy, and I will destroy others. I am successful, powerful, and happy. I am wealthy and aristocratic. Who can compare with me? I shall perform sacrifice, give charity, and enjoy myself. Thus they are deluded by ignorance. Their minds full of vain thoughts, caught in a net of illusion, and engrossed in mundane enjoyment. Such ungodly persons fall to a foul hell. Conceited, obstinate, and intoxicated by wealth and grandeur, ignoring the scriptural injunctions, these demons make a hypocritical show of sacrifices. Given to egoism, pomp and power, lust and anger, they are resentful of me, who am situated in their own and others' bodies as the supersoul, and they ascribe faults to the good qualities of the saintly persons. I continually cast these resentful, cruel, inauspicious, and decadent persons into the demoniac species, in the cycle of birth and death. O Kunteya, repeatedly taking birth in the demonic species, these deluded persons cannot come to me, and they descend to lower and lower planes. Lust, anger, and greed are the three doors of hell leading to self-destruction, so they must be abandoned. O Kunteya, one who is liberated from these three doors of darkness strives for the benefit of the soul, by which he attains the supreme destination. One who acts according to his own desires, disregarding the scriptural injunctions, cannot attain perfection, happiness, or the supreme destination. Therefore, the scriptural injunctions for duty and non-duty are your authority. Knowing your duty in this world, according to the scriptures, to act only for the Lord's pleasure, you should act accordingly. End of chapter 16, the godly and ungodly natures. From the conversation of Sri Krishna and Arjuna in Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad, the yoga scripture of transcendental knowledge, in the Bhishma Parva of Sri Mahabharata, the holy scripture revealed by Srila Vyasadeva in 100,000 verses. So, to summarize the chapter, the Supreme Lord Krishna describes the qualities of the godly and demoniac. The godly qualities emancipate, while the ungodly bind the soul. Correspondingly, these two types of natures are embodied by two different types of living beings, the godly and the ungodly. The godly are prone to self-control and moderation, while the ungodly are indulgent and seek sensual gratification, are impure in body and mind, and consider the world nothing but the product of sexual union with no ultimate purpose other than mundane enjoyment, and is clearly devoid of God. Holding this view, the godless incite the destruction of the world by their nefarious actions. Addicted to sensuality, their minds distracted and enthralled by ephemera, they doom themselves to perdition. Self-obsessed, indolent, proud of their material wealth, accomplishments, and so-called position in the world, they perform sacrifice and give charity only in name, disregarding any scriptural regulations or honesty. The three doors leading to hellish consciousness are lust, anger, and greed. And those who desire their eternal benefit must shun these by all means and rise above. The fundamental path to transcendence is to lead a purely devotional life, in obedience to the scriptures for the sole purpose of satisfying the Lord. Whoever acts according to their own whims and the dictates of their mind, ignoring the advices of the saints, never attains true success, happiness, or the supreme destination. So the acronym to remember the chapter, dog. The dog is an unpredictable animal. Though widely acclaimed as man's best friend, the dog also has a reputation for brutal, unprovoked attacks. Such contradictory behavior is the sign of our times. In previous ages, the distinction between divine and demoniac people was very clear. They lived at a distance from each other and rarely mixed. In modern times, however, the dividing line has disappeared to the extent that the divine and demoniac coexist within the same individual. In chapter 16, Krishna describes the qualities of saintly persons and the weakness of the demoniac, systematically exposing attitudes and behavior that destroys one's spirituality. So the letter D for dog, divine or demoniac. This is verses 1 to 6. On the tree of the material world, divine qualities are said to elevate us, whereas demoniac qualities result in degradation. These are the result of nature and nurture. While we undoubtedly carry impressions from previous lives, our willpower, determination, and activities in this life can significantly alter that nature. Krishna describes 26 divine qualities and the 6 major demoniac qualities. O, for opinions and outlook of demons. Verses 7 to 20. To reassure Arjuna that he is of divine nature, Krishna distinguishes the activities, mentality, and qualities of one who has demoniac propensities. Such miscreants are cast into repeated births in undeveloped lower species of life. While this may sound like the harsh and judgmental God of dogmatic religion, Krishna explains how such treatment is the most progressive course of action to gradually uplift such individuals. Demoniac philosophy, mentality, and activities generate immeasurable anxiety for the individual and cause great disruption in the wider society. It is a case of hate the disease, not the diseased. And G, gates to hell, verses 21 to 24. Krishna warns that lust, anger, and greed are the 3 root qualities that lead one to hell. Such hellish plains are not eternal prisons for the errant soul, but places of reformation where stern lessons help one to align their vision. For one who wants to avoid such shock treatment, the scriptures act as a guidebook for gradual purification and ultimate perfection. They recommend a regulated lifestyle by which one can easily transform selfishness to selflessness, lust to love, and quarrel into cooperation. All right. So, what does everyone think? Do we have some questions?
Well, to start off, just a general question, just a recapping on really the
Can you
process.
put it?
Yeah. So in verse 16, chapter 16, verse 7, the Lord says, the ungodly cannot distinguish between right and wrong action. No purity, good practices, or truthfulness can be found in them. regarding this specifically and in general, you know, the situation of the ungodly, how can they pursue spiritual life and come closer to a proper understanding of what is right and wrong?
Well, first of all, you have to understand that you have a problem. That's the very first step in everything. You know, like if you're an alcoholic and you join Alcoholics Anonymous, the first thing you do is you acknowledge that. So, you know, that you've seen it, you must have seen it on the television or somewhere, that when they have their meetings, they'll stand up and they'll say, "My name's Bob, and I'm an alcoholic. It's been so many days since my last drink," or whatever like that. And then they say whatever it is they can say. So they have this 12-step process. But the first step is admitting that you have a problem. So, you know, then I think often people see that they have some predilection to lust, anger, greed. It's a very common thing. And Krishna says here that if you want success and happiness in life, you have to abandon these things. But first of all, you have to see that they're not good things. They're not positive traits in our nature. And as I mentioned in the summary, that we live in this age where the lines between the divine and the demoniac are very blurred. So it's said in the scripture that in previous ages, that in the Treta Yuga, then the godly lived in one place and the ungodly, they lived in another place. We're talking planets. The godly lived in one planet, the ungodly in another planet. Then in the Dwapara Yuga, then there, or rather that was the Satya Yuga. Then in the Treta Yuga, then the divine and the demonic, they lived on different countries. And then in Dwapara Yuga, they live in the same family, like we see in the example of the Kurus, right? The Kauravas and the Pandavas. The Kauravas, demonic, and the Pandavas, godly. But in Kali Yuga, we find the divine and the demoniac living in the same body. We have the propensity for both of those things within us. So, you know, there's like a parable that says, you know, that within us there's two like dogs living inside us. One is like a vicious, cruel, hateful dog, and the other one is like obedient, or, you know, man's best friend, that kind of dog. Then the question is like, which one will become the more dominant? And the answer is the one that you feed. So that's how it is here also. So if we feed the demonic side of our nature, then that will become foremost. And if we try and feed the godly side of our nature, that will become foremost. So it's about, to some extent at least, it's about our choices, the choices that we make in life, what path we are to follow. Unfortunately, in this age particularly, that the ungodly nature is almost our default setting. You know, so it's like gravity. Gravity is always pulling us down to the earth. So in the same way, the material nature is always pulling us down to ungodly thoughts, ungodly behavior. And so if we want to rise up, we have to make some endeavor ourselves. So that means we have to try, first of all, recognizing that we have this problem within us. And then secondly, following the practices that will help us rise above that. This is what's called sadhana bhakti. You have to perform sadhana with the goal of raising yourself above the ungodly side of our nature. It is a little, we have our own lexicon in the Hare Krishna devotee world, and we use these words like demon, which are, I don't know, it's the translation of asura, demon, but maybe here Guru Maharaj is giving more the ungodly rather than demonic. So I remember when I was a young boy and visited the temple for the first time. I was 14 years old, and one devotee there at Bhaktivedanta Manor, he said to me, "Why don't you just stay here?" We were there. I was there with my friend. We'd come during the school holidays to visit that place, Then that devotee said, "Why don't you just stay here?" So, well, I'm going back to school next week. And, no, your teachers, they're all demons. What? And I said, "Yeah, but my family, your family, they're also all demons." So, and that wasn't a word that was kind of common in my vocabulary. The idea of demon is like, they got horns and fangs and, carry a pitchfork and have a tail or something like that, So first of all, that word was very alien to me. But secondly, I'm thinking like, but he just never even met my family. How does he know that? So anyway, but this is something that we need also to be careful of, is that if we think that we are better than others, or, we've become righteous and everybody else is, worthy of our contempt or something like that. But even if that's true, we should never forget that that saying that is there, but by the grace of God go I. So, although we may see bad qualities in others, we can understand that without the grace of God, we also are not different from that.
We actually have a question continuing with this theme and on the topic of recognizing one's faults from an anonymous friend. Why do we often recognize demoniac qualities in others more easily than in ourselves? As Srila Govinda Maharaj used to say, my religion is to find faults in me. So how do we condition our minds to just find fault in ourselves?
Yeah, fault finding is a very difficult habit to overcome, because we get some pleasure from that. It's a perverse kind of pleasure, and it's a very unfortunate trait of human beings, and not just devotees, but everybody. That's why you see in the news agents that the best-selling magazines are these gossip magazines, and they're talking about what they like to do is they like to find somebody like a pop star or a movie star or something like that, and they build them up and put them on a pedestal. But all the time they're looking for some dirt on them, And then when they find that, they like to, throw that person down from their pedestal and dance upon them with great glee. And we like that. We like to see other people fail. It's a terrible thing, but it's the truth, because it makes us feel better about ourselves. Oh, I knew they were like that. I always knew that person was like that. And it makes us feel kind of righteous. Like they say, if you cut off someone's head, it makes you feel taller, right? But actually, it's a very bad fault. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj says our Guru Maharaj. He says, why is it that over here there's a beautiful flower garden and over here is a filthy garbage tip, and we like to look at the garbage tip when there's a beautiful garden over here? Why are we looking at that? Why are we looking at that? So, and Guru Maharaj would say, don't be a drain inspector. It means, if you're going to put your head down the drain, it's very likely that it's going to come up covered by something filthy, right? And also, it's a fact that we've been taught by our gurus and by the scriptures. It says, when you see the faults in others, be sure that those same faults will come on in you. So, vicariously, it makes us feel better about ourselves when we see and point out the faults of others. But really, we should try to see what are the faults within ourselves. In the Bible, Lord Jesus says to his disciples, why are you making a big deal about the speck that's in your brother's eye when you have a plank in your own? So this is what we do, right? We think that if we pronounce some kind of judgment on others, that people will think we're very righteous. Will think that we're, above all of that. Then, but actually, when we spend our time finding fault with others, it's only because we see those same faults that are within us, but we won't admit that those faults are within us. We like to see them in others. Maybe it sort of takes away the attention from us. We throw that onto somebody else. Yes, okay. But actually, you cannot see the faults in others unless those faults are within you. Again, in the Bible, it says, the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. So then, if you're only concentrating on dirty things that you see in others, that means that you're full of those dirty things yourself. So we should try to ignore that. And especially in the devotees, we should try not to look at their faults, but try to see the goodness in them. Goodness is in everyone, but especially within the devotees, we'll see that. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he established a process where the devotees would have a meeting, Ishtagoshti meeting, and he would note that maybe two disciples, they're always clashing with each other. This is the nature of the world, right? We don't get on with everybody, whoever they meet. There's always somebody that we don't get on with for some whatever reason it is. But he would say, say something about the good qualities of your friend. And knowing that they were, at odds with each other, or didn't like each other, or were often arguing with each other, or whatever. Say something good about the qualities of your friend. And he wouldn't accept any sort of shallow assessment. Oh, he's a really good guy, yeah, he's great. It's just his mind and his body that's out of it. But he's a good guy. No, he said you have to dive deep into the bright side of that person. You have to look deeply into their character and mine out their good qualities. And really, everyone has some good quality in them. That's universally true. So we should try to see that and not to see the faults in others. Of course, sometimes it may be within your service to see the faults in others. Like the guru is meant to see the faults in his disciples with the aim of rectifying them of those faults. But for us, just to look at the faults of others for no other better reason than to criticize, that will be detrimental to our own progress. After all, if we want the Lord's grace on us, then we should wish that upon everybody else. We can't say that, yes, God should give grace to me, but punishment to him. Rather, if anything, the other way around. Yes, punish me for my transgressions and raise everybody up. And let me find fault with myself. So that's what our Gurudev Srila Govinda Maharaj would say, as you pointed out. My religion is finding fault with myself. And really, seriously, that can give us our lifetime purpose, because those faults are unlimited. When some other Vaishnavas were criticizing our Guru Maharaj, oh, they said this about you, Gurudev, they said that about you, they said this about you. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, his reply was, only that? Is that all they have to say? They really don't know me at all. If they knew what I was really like, then they'd have something to say. And that's not just being self-deprecating because that's what you meant to do. It's real. So, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, I am more filthy than a worm in stool. I have no good qualities. And anyone who even says my name, all of their piety will run away from them. I'm more sinful than Jagai and Madai. This way, like this. But we know he's our Param Guru, the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the beloved disciple of Nityananda Prabhu. Then we know that those things are not true. So when somebody asked Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj asked Guru Maharaj, so we know that those things aren't true about him. Then Guru Maharaj said, oh, do you think he's posing? He's just posing as that. He said, no, that's his real feeling. He said, but my question is, Goswami Maharaj said, my question is, what if you are that? What if you are more sinful than Jagai and Madai, and worse, more disgusting than a worm in stool, and if people say your name, all of their piety will run away? What if you actually are that? And then Guru Maharaj said to him, oh, such feelings are coming in you. And he said, no, Maharaj, but I know who I am. I know, what my nature is. And Guru Maharaj said, oh, such feelings are coming in you. So, a devotee will always feel himself to be unworthy and unqualified and disqualified naturally. If they're real, the more that we see that the more that somebody advances in Krishna consciousness, the more that part of that side of their nature comes out, almost not actually hating themselves, not like that, but feeling hopeless to the degree that without the mercy of Hari, Guru and Vaishnava, then there's really no hope for me. And this is the attitude of a genuine devotee.
So beautiful, Prabhu.
Welcome, Leelamoy Prabhu. Very happy to see you.
Happy birthday.
Oh.
We have a question from Madana Mohini Didi in Italy. So please share your question, Didi.
Yes, Dandavat. Dear Devashis Prabhu, thank you very much for your explanation. And I have a little question about this topic, and because we were always shown in our church, in movies, in scriptures, that the demons are the embodiment or the ungodly qualities. And now you explained very clearly that in this yuga, the ungodly and godly qualities live together in our body. So this is really a big untruth that the scriptures show us about the demons, so that people can say, oh, it's that demon's fault, it's not my fault because I was possessed by that demon. Am I right? Is this a trick to try to take off our ungodly in endeavor? Is it?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So that we can use that as an excuse for our behavior or our ungodly conduct. Oh, I was possessed by some demon. But actually, if we are possessed by some demon, it's a demon of our own making. So then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he was talking about the idea of Satan, in the Christian or Judea religion, they have Satan. In Islam, they have Biat, is the same as Satan, and like this. And they think that if you behave in a demonic way, that means you must be possessed by some demon or some evil spirit, and therefore you're not to blame, but that evil spirit is to blame. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, first of all, we think it's very unlikely that such a gigantic being as Satan even exists. But if he does, he's also under the control of Krishna. He's not independent from the control of Krishna. So if there is some evil influence upon us, that doesn't mean that shifts the blame from us to some other, supernatural entity or even some bad influence from this world, because that's there all the time. In this age, especially in the material world, there's always something bad to offer to us. Again, as Srila Guru Maharaj says, we have a beautiful flower garden on this side and a horrible, filthy sewer on the other side, but we like the horrible, filthy sewer better than we like the beautiful garden. Why is that? It's not that we've got, I don't know if I'm sure you must have that in Italy. And here we used to watch these Tom and Jerry cartoon, and sometimes you get like a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other shoulder, and the devil's going, go on, do it, come on, you want to do it, and the angel on the other shoulder going, no, don't do it, don't do the good thing, be like this. So, but that's just different. Of course, it's just a cartoon, but it's just different aspects of our own self, our own illusion self. So, it is no excuse to try and blame it on some other entity. Whatever happens, we are to blame for that. That this is central to our teaching. No one else to blame apart from myself. The blame game is what everybody does, and that's the cause of so much conflict in the world. Oh, it's because of them, because of those people, because of these people, because what they're doing, because of this, because of that. Nothing to do with me. It's all because of them, that other party. And if we can, sort them out, then everything will be perfect, and everyone will see what a great soul I am. But the trouble with that is, that first of all, it's false to think that some external thing or something in your environment is the cause of your unhappiness or of your degradation or your behavior or anything is someone else's fault. It's a cop-out. It's not the fact. The fact is that whatever is happening to me is because of what I've done. Because we live in a cosmos, not in chaos. Cosmos means that there's order in the universe. So sometimes our vision doesn't allow us to see that, but actually it's true. There is actually no injustice in the world. That's a very difficult statement to square with when we see so much injustice in the world. But if everyone can see that what's happening to them, behind that is the hand of the Lord, the beautiful smiling face of the Lord, then we'll find harmony. Now we're looking to so many disparate circumstances and people and so many other things, and we're trying not to look at our own self. But, they have there's a saying that when I was young and full of zeal, I wanted to change the world. But now I'm older, now I realize I can't change the world, but I can change myself. So, because we don't have any real control over the world or the environment. Albert Einstein, his definition of the environment, everything that isn't you, that's the environment. So you can't blame the environment for your problems, only your own self. And you can't change very much your environment. Some people think, I'm going to leave this, I'm going to move to another country or, go somewhere else, start afresh, have a whole new life. But, the difficulty with that is wherever you go, there you are. That you can't avoid, However wonderful the new circumstance may be or the new environment may be, you're still the same person there. You've still got the same mentality and the same, conditioning, the same prejudices, the same misconceptions about the world. They haven't changed. Only the outward things have changed. And maybe you'll find some joy in that for a while until you realize actually the grass wasn't greener on the other side. That was just an illusion. And actually the problem was always with me, not with my environment. So this is the meaning of that. We are to try and see that no one is to blame but myself, whatever is happening. And my Lord is so merciful that he will never give me something that I can't deal with. He'll always give us something that we can overcome, that we can learn from, because he's merciful. He didn't create us just to suffer in this material world. He created us to lead a life of eternal love, loving service with him in the spiritual world. And because we find ourselves here in this material world, at odds with everything and fighting everything and suffering with everything, we begin to think that that's all our life is about. But we have to remember that we were created for something better than that, something higher than that. And our Lord wants us to have that. But first of all, we've got to want to have that. We have to want that more than we want anything else. So, then the problem is that we're all addicted to this material world. So if we go back to our Alcoholics Anonymous example, then we have to ourselves stand up. Hello, everybody. My name's Devashis, and I'm a material world addict. And that's the fact, right? We're just addicted to this material world. Even though we know it gives us pain, we can't stop. We can't stop. We're completely addicted to it. We know, this is a question that Arjuna asked Krishna earlier on in the Gita, that how is it that even a man of knowledge is forced to do sin, even it seems against his own will? And Krishna says, it's lust alone, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. You have to conquer that lust with the sword of righteousness. So by proper endeavor, you can conquer that lust. And here in this chapter, Krishna is saying this is one of the three gates to hell. Lust, anger, and greed. These are the gateways to hell. So we have to leave those and try and replace them with the saintly qualities, the godly qualities. Try to cultivate those as much as possible within us. And then maybe we'll see some progress in our life.
We have another lovely question on a similar on the theme.
Mm-hmm.
It's Lilavati Didi. She says, Dandavats to everyone. What is the right thing to do if we discover these terrible demoniac qualities within ourselves? Should we talk about it, and with whom? After all, we don't have confession. They hear the question? I can, it's on the chat, but I'll repeat it. I'll copy it on the chat in English.
It's a good question. We don't have confession, but we do actually kind of have a confession. This is given by Rupa Goswami and Upadeshamrita as how to associate with the devotees. And that is and it means an exchange of love between devotees. That means inquiring confidentially from the devotees and revealing one's mind to the devotee. These are two. The others are giving some gift for their service and receiving something from them for service, and sharing prasad, giving prasad and receiving prasad from them. So, but confidential admission, you can say, is almost a kind of confession, if you like. We don't even need to list all of the sins that we've done, Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. In the next, in the next half an hour, we can tell about all the things that we did. It doesn't matter actually what are the sinful things that we've done, because that goes without saying. It's just par for the course. Even if we've not done anything sinful, we've probably thought about doing something sinful. So what's the remedy for that? The remedy for that is association. To get good association. Sadhu Sangha, that is important. Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, 99.9% of your advancement in spiritual life will depend upon your association. So that means who you associate with and what you associate with. Not just who, but what. Because nowadays we have the capacity in any time, 24 hours a day, we have this little device here where we can connect to anything that you can imagine and some things you probably can't imagine also. It's all there, and we've got this little device in our pocket that allows us to do that. And so that means we have an unlimited reservoir of potentially bad association. It's there, you know, even when it's completely innocent, you'll find yourself in trouble with these. When my daughters were growing up, I don't want to be too graphic about all of that, but when my daughters were growing up, they, you know, in the generation where the internet is like everything, right? I remember saying to them, oh, when I was a boy, we didn't have personal computers like you have. You know, if you wanted to do a computer, it was like what these computers can do now. It would be a whole huge building full of these machines to like do the same thing that you can do on your computer now. We just didn't have them. And one of my girls said to me, you didn't have how did you get on the internet then? So there was no internet then, but now it's there, right? So, and without, you know, being like too graphic about it, I'll leave it to your imaginations. I don't think you need much imagination, but one of my daughters searching on the internet, schoolgirl fan. Do I have to say any more? Like what kind of results are coming on her search? She's a schoolgirl, she wants to have fun with other schoolgirls, schoolgirl fun. What's coming up as the result? Something nasty. And that nastiness is there on the internet, like in your face. Even if you're not looking for it, it'll come in your face. So then it's up to you. Are you going to associate with that? Are you going to allow that into your consciousness or not? Then at the same time, you can utilize that internet and all of the modern technology for learning about bhakti, for joining with the devotees online. There's like this class, right? People are joining online with that. Could be joining with something else if they wanted to, but they've decided to do this. And there's so much of that, you know. Like, you know, our Madhusudan Maharaj, he's like every day, like practically 3 or 4 meetings he has with devotees all around the world to try and share Krishna consciousness with them. And not just Madhusudan Maharaj, although he's a great proponent of that. So many devotional associations we can find using that same technology. So it's a double-edged sword, you know? It's like itself, there's nothing wrong with that. Just like a knife, you can use a knife to prepare some vegetables and offer to Krishna. Or you can use that same knife to stab somebody, kill somebody. It's not the knife's fault. So in the same way, all of this technology and everything, it's out there. It's not the fault of that. It's about, you know, there's a thing, it's called supply and demand, right? Because people want it, that's why it's available out there. So what is it that you want? It's important for us to understand what is association. Association means whatever we allow into our consciousness. We have to guard against all of that. Like, don't be tempted to look at nasty things. Don't be tempted to put your head down the drain and look what's going on in the sewer. Go and have a look at the beautiful flower garden over there instead. Go and have a look at the beautiful teachings of Lord Krishna, which you will also find there. And you don't need that either, but it's there, then, you know, it's part of our modern life. What can we do? And personally, I think it's more of a curse than a blessing in many ways. You know, I think, again, it was Einstein that said, when our technology outgrows or, you know, overtakes our intellectual capacity, we'll be left with a society of morons. We see that, right? We see that. People say, like, you know, anyone going anywhere exciting to look at their phone this weekend? Isn't it? Are you going anywhere nice to look at your phone this weekend? There used to be, if you were going on a train journey, you'd look out the window and see the world going by and see so many things. Now, on the train, everybody's like there. Oh. It's the world that we live in. Whether it's a blessing or whether it's a curse really depends on you. And that's also true about who we associate with. Who will we associate with? We can associate with the godly or the ungodly. And this is given as one of the stages, important stages of development in spiritual life, sadhu sangha. When you realize the importance of sadhu sangha, what is necessary for you to lead a progressive life. So sadhu sangha means to try and associate with those who are more advanced than you are in spiritual understanding, if that's possible. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, if you can't find anybody that's more advanced than you are, then you're in a very sad situation. Because really that just means your ego is telling you, no one's more qualified than me. No one knows more about this than I do. But we want that. We want to know, to associate with those who know more than we do. And what is that association? So this Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, sadhu sangha, most people think that means, you know, you find a saint and try and spend time with them and give something to them, maybe offer some food to them, cook for them, or, you know, like give some gift to them, or this way invoke their blessings on you. So that's all, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, that's all good, that's all great, but that's not sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha is when you examine that devotee and see the beautiful spiritual qualities that they have, that they possess, you also want those same qualities. So that means you want to be a sadhu. You need to become yourself a sadhu. That doesn't mean you have to, you know, like put on pink cloth and, you know, carry a stick or shave your head or anything, but you're internally, you want the qualities that you see in them, you want those qualities in yourself. And that should be your goal in associating with the sadhu. Something good will rub off from that association, we hope. Birds of a feather flock together. So, you know, whatever it is that we're interested in life, we'll try and find some association like that, you know. Just over the road there, you find all these people doing plane spotting. You see them in the field over there. They got their cameras and binoculars and their little notepads, and they're in like an association all together, you know. That's what they're interested in. So they all join together with their sandwiches and everything, you know. Oh, you saw that plane? Oh, yeah, I saw that one. You know, okay, whatever floats your boat. But so we're also the same. We're interested in Krishna-loving people. We want to associate with Krishna-loving people in the hope that we may also become a Krishna-loving person.
Jai. So Prabhu, this chapter lists loads of godly and ungodly natures, but just before we started the class, we were actually talking about how really a characteristics in sattva gun aren't necessarily a prerequisite to the cultivation of bhakti, right? But then, so when we decide that we would like to pursue the path of bhakti yoga, what would you say is the most important quality for the practitioner to cultivate?
Sincerity. You have to sincerely want that. And you have to be also patient. These qualities, they've been given in the Upadeshamrita of Rupa Goswami. And one of the first is patience, that it will take time for you to reap the benefit of this practice. We have to be patient for that. Oh yeah, I tried that, Krishna consciousness, didn't work for me. I gave it a good go, I practiced for 5 years and it didn't work for me. But so now I'm doing something else. But what is that? 5 years? That's nothing. A lifetime is nothing. We have to be in it for the long run. We have to be patient, and we have to have confidence in the Lord's grace upon us, that He will be gracious to us. We have to be sincere about that. So, and sincerity is really the key to success in everything, not just in spiritual life, but in everything. Sincere desire for that I'll do whatever's necessary to attain that. Sincerity. And someone asked Srila Sridhar Maharaj this question, how can I be sincere? And I don't know what they were expecting Guru Maharaj's reply to be. Maybe they had no expectation what it would be. But Guru Maharaj said, just by being sincere. There's no magic formula. There's nothing that will make you sincere. Either you are or you're not. But then he said, but sincerity is one of the qualities of the soul. It's within you. The soul has that sincerity within you. And in fact, these 26 qualities that Krishna tells Arjuna, sincerity is one of those. Sincerity is one that develops there. Then all of these other qualities, they'll also develop. But I think that the most important is sincerity. So, then sincerity and patience, and you need to have some kind of fortitude as well in your practice. Not some kind of conditional thing. Oh, I'll give it 5 years. If I'm not a pure devotee within 5 years, then it's obviously not for me. But no, 5 years, five lifetimes may not be enough. However long it's going to take, we have to be convinced that there's nothing else that's worth pursuing. I was speaking with our friend before, and that how much people are willing to sacrifice of their life to attain something that they consider valuable. Nothing comes without sacrifice, actually, and nothing valuable comes without sacrifice. So, we were saying, if somebody wants to be a doctor, how many years do they have to give to study that? And how many years of clinical practice, like they say the junior doctors working ridiculous hours, like years and years and years of that before they become qualified, properly qualified. But they think it's worth it, right? They feel that that's something worthwhile pursuing, and they're willing to sacrifice their time for that. Then should we think that spiritual life should not be something that we're willing to sacrifice ourselves for, any less than that? That's just for a job, right? We're talking about our eternal life, our real understanding of who we are and what is the nature of reality. What could be a higher calling than that? But we're not willing to sacrifice anything to get that. We just want it. And if it's not available freely, well, we're not interested. No, whatever it takes, we must be ready and willing for that. However long, however difficult, however sometimes frustrating it may be, we're not going to go anywhere else. That's why, you've all heard it, Rupa Goswami given the example of the chatak bird. The chatak bird lives in a tree next to a lake, but he won't drink water from the lake. He's always only looking at the rain cloud. And if the cloud will give him water, then he drinks. But he'll never go to drink from the lake. So the devotee, he's always looking to Krishna. Well, Krishna will give some grace to me. And if he doesn't give some grace to me, okay, I don't want anything else. I don't want any substitute from this material world. I only want that. And sometimes when that chatak bird is looking to the cloud's throwing a thunderbolt on him. Not any water, a thunderbolt. Then what will he do? Oh, he threw a thunderbolt at me, all right, I'm going down to the lake to have it. No, he'll still looking there to the cloud. So in the same way, whatever comes to us, we are only interested in the grace of Lord Krishna. We don't want anything else. We don't want any substitute for that. We want Krishna, reality, the beautiful. When I was first joined in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, I shared a room with a devotee, and previously he was a follower of Satya Sai Baba. You've all heard of him, I'm sure, with the big afro. And so when he was in India, that time, that Sai Baba was giving like some kind of talk or something in a place in Delhi, like Darshan or whatever they called it, right? So people are queuing up all day to get some blessing from him. He gives something from his hair, vibhuti. They give something from his hair. Sometimes he's giving a wristwatch from his hair to people, It doesn't say Vaikuntha time on it. It says Hindulam or Timex or something. But anyway, and so my friend, he was there. He wants to see him. He's never seen him. He used to be his follower. Now he's there, right? So I want to go and see him. But he's dressed as a devotee, actually with saffron cloth, shaved head, tilak, everything. He got in the queue. Finally, he came before him, and Sai Baba says to him, "Oh, you are a devotee of Krishna?" "Yes." "You want Krishna?" "Yes." And from his hair, a murti of Lord Krishna he gave to him. There you are, there's Krishna. But this bit I'm making up. This bit isn't true. When he turned it up, it said, "Made in Hong Kong" underneath. So that's my added bit on there, just so you're aware. But my point is that we don't want a made in Hong Kong Krishna. We want Vaikuntha, Goloka Vrindavan Krishna. As not just some magician who will give that to you from his afro. That is something that you have to sacrifice yourself to the nth degree, if that's what's required to connect you with Lord Krishna. And our Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he used to say, sacrifice is joy. So, then this is the saints. The saints, they have that nature, sacrificing nature. And if anything in this world that we want to accomplish, it will demand sacrifice if it's going to be worthwhile. So that's also the same in Krishna consciousness, we must be prepared to sacrifice ourselves in whichever way is required of us. Then we may get a chance for that.
I'm just reminded of Srila Gurudev being asked that question about sincerity, similar question about sincerity in East London.
Okay.
Martin, and he said, the question was like, how do we know if we're being sincere? And Srila Gurudev said, you know when you're being sincere.
Yeah.
This is something that...
Is there such a thing like level of sincerity? I would say, you know, someone may be 20% sincere, another one 40, another one 50, someone is 100% sincere. If there is such a thing, how do you motivate yourself to become 100%, even though you know that you are not 100% sincere, but maybe 40 or I don't know, something?
You just have to keep trying.
Okay.
You know, then, and if you are inspired by devotees that you see in your estimation may be 100% sincere, try and get their association. Try and find out what it is that they have that you don't have. And keep going, you know, then, because everything's by degree. Maybe you're only 10% sincere now, but will that mean you're going to be 10% sincere forever? Or can it change? Can it increase? Can your sincerity increase? I think it can, you know, then, because Krishna consciousness is like a kind of magic thing. It changes people. It changes people. Guru Maharaj said, the peculiar nature of bhakti is you can't trace it in yourself, but you can see it in others. And that substantiates its reality. And I can say, you know, having tried to practice Krishna consciousness for 50 years now, that I have seen real transformation of people. People who came to join our mission half crazy, and they became like our best devotees. You know, they had some sincerity inside them that just overcame everything else. And I've seen it, I believe it, and I'm amazed by it. And it gives me hope that maybe there's some chance for me too. So yeah, don't worry, you know. Don't worry if your sincerity is mixed up with all other kinds of desires. Everything is in flux all the time. You know, we have so many desires, and so it said, if you're full of desire, then you go to Lord Krishna for that. And if you have no desires for anything in this material world, go to Krishna for that. Just go to Krishna, whatever your situation is, whatever however you find yourself in the world, just go to Krishna. Here I am, Lord, warts and all. You know? However unqualified, however awful, however much of a cheater I am, I'm coming to you, Lord. Then you can pray to him, please, Lord, make me as you want me to be. Make me as you want me to be. I am your servant. In fact, we heard this, Srila Govinda Maharaj said in a prayer, he made this prayer to Krishna. Oh, Krishna, I am a very fallen person, and you know I'm never going to really worship you or serve you. You know that. But I've done my part. You are Patita Pavan. Patita means fallen souls. I'm Patita. I can't be any more fallen than I've done my job. I'm as fallen as I can be. Now you have to do your job And your job is rescuing me, rescuing the fallen soul. That's your job, Krishna. So, then we can pray like that, Whatever I may be, I may be. But still, Lord Krishna, I'm coming to you. Do with me as you will. Make or mar everything. But please, if it is your desire, make me as you want me to be. What could we say more than that?
Does anyone else have it? And just in between, we have to just express that our beloved Kumkum Didi and Sachi Didi are sending Leela Moy Prabhu lots of very happy birthday wishes with love hearts and flowers and stars and everything. Jai Leela Moy Prabhu ki jai. And welcome back to your home.
Hare Krishna. So when challenges arise, I tend to break my sadhana bhakti. So how to stay? How can I cultivate my divine qualities, and how to stay persistent, consistent, and committed through my difficult times?
Just keep trying. Just keep trying, because just like, when a baby's learning to walk, keeps falling over, right? Gets up and falls over, and then gets up, falls over. But the mother doesn't say, all right, just forget it, does she? She said, no, come on, try again. And he keeps trying, or she keeps trying, until he can do it. He can do it, and then he can do it forever, right? So we're like that. In fact, there's a shloka, a verse in the Bhagavatam which says, just like when we fall over on the ground is the very thing that helps us to get up again. That's the thing which helps us to get up. So even though we may make offense to Lord Krishna is our only resource for arising once again. So, that's that song. There's a song from a movie. And I think it's a good song. It says, you've got to accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. Go on with the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. That's what you've got to do, right? You've got to do. You just keep trying. Just keep trying. Don't worry. And don't beat yourself up, Oh, something happened, I couldn't do it. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's in the past. Now go forward again. Now get up again and try again. And then one day, you're not going to fall over anymore. You're going to be able to walk. You're going to be able to run. You're going to be able to do everything. You're even going to be able to teach other people to do that. It'll happen.
Does anyone else have any questions? I think that's it, Prabhu. We're almost.
Okay. So
We're
this
very
is
grateful for yet another beautiful class, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Sripad Devashis Prabhu ki jai.
So this is verse 16, chapter 16. 2 more chapters the next 2 weeks, and then our final meeting. So 3 more weeks, although it does say on the poster there, 15th of July. It's actually the 8th of July will be our last meeting for this. Well, we can do something else after that. But this is for now. And I'm very grateful to you all for encouraging me for this. What I heard from my Guru Maharaj, I want to share that with everybody. Is when you eat something nice, you don't become silent. When you eat something nice, you say to your friend, have you tried this? It's really good. You've got to try this, So in my life, I've never found anything that's as good as practicing Krishna consciousness. So you're all my friends. I want to say to you, you know, this is so good, you've got to try it too. And you won't be disappointed. And that's what I learned from my Guru Maharaj, that it's just by trying, we'll get everything. Although we may not be qualified, we are dealing with a personal absolute, not an impersonal absolute. It's not just rules and regulations, and we're dealing with the sweetest person, Lord Krishna. He's the sweetest, most wonderful, most beautiful, most merciful Lord. And He sees in us even what we don't see in ourselves. And He always wants to extend Himself to us. If you turn to Him, He'll never say to you, oh, I haven't got any time. Not now. I'm busy. I'm doing something. Never, He will never turn you away. You can always turn to Him. He'll always be there for you. And He's not just a fiction, He's reality. Reality, the beautiful. Hare Krishna. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bhargya Ki Jai. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol.